my but good. I'm in Los Angeles. It's beautiful and sunny. I had 3 clients today. Beautiful things I'm really happy to see that people are blooming with, and yeah,
Yeah,
gonna go on a walk.
yeah. It's quite hot here up in NorCal, and it would be easy to get stuck in the doom and gloom of, oh my gosh, the world is burning literally as well as
Mhm.
figuratively. I think there's no, I think we might as well enjoy the sunshine. That's why it's blooming.
Yeah. Maybe we can tell people we kind of know each other from the North Bay.
Yeah, that's right. I would describe the trajectory of our relationship from like acquaintances to neighbors.
We were neighbors.
That's right.
God.
COVID neighbors. And then I got to work with you as a somatic coach.
Mhm.
Now we're a fun kind of fusion of colleagues,
Yes.
friends, IG co-livers. Yeah, well, do you want to share as folks are trickling in, do you want to share just kind of give me the elevator pitch for what is your work and how does it connect to liberation?
Yeah, so I am a somatic experiencing practitioner, and that's a form of trauma resolution that's like going with the animal instinct. It really connects to like permaculture and like what is our natural design of the most like effective way to be alive. I don't know if effective is the right word, but yeah, I think initial like the baseline of my work is that like really effective organic trauma healing through integration, not just like thinking about things. It's kind of helping us drop in deeper. And then I kind of pivoted to add a layer of creative coaching and creative unblocking, which just brought so much more resource. Like as a creative person, I was like, oh wait, like creativity is part of trauma healing. Being seen is part of trauma healing.
Mm,
And yeah, and then that led to my work now where I really have a hyper focus on functional freeze, which is how many people experience like symptoms of ADHD. Yeah. So people come in and they come in to work on their trauma, and then we're like, actually, like if like there's something that really wants to be born through you, and so then we end up working on that. Or they come in for business stuff and we find some like unresolved trauma. Like it's all connected.
right,
And I
right.
just try to keep like a Taoist kind of view of just like what's the overall flow of someone and how can I support their aliveness moving through them.
Yeah. And I think, maybe someone who's not in our kind of sphere of work very much might hear what you're saying and be like, well, that sounds pretty navel gazy. That doesn't sound like it has anything to do with getting free, let alone collective liberation. Can you
Yeah,
speak to that a little bit?
totally. Yeah. I think what we're dealing with, like all of us at any point is ultimately comes down to like what is our capacity, and our individual capacity connects back to our capacity to show up collectively. Like people feeling safe in their bodies creates a safer world and gives us more capacity to respond from curiosity instead of reactivity, and creativity, like literally like okay, like instead of so many people stuck in freeze feeling like they're bad, they're wrong, they're not doing enough, it's all hopeless. What does that person need to get in flow, and then all those rivers kind of connect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're in a lot of historically, we've all been a lot of survival mode, both individually, but also collectively.
Mhm.
Like your work is sort of toward helping the whole body, the mycelial body heal so we can better be in our connections.
Yeah, and I think the world, like the issues that we're dealing with as a human society, have been created. Like it's based on the parts of the world that were built from the mind, that were built from disconnection from the land, from each other, from our own empathy. I recently saw an interview with a billionaire who says he does zero internal reflection, and
Oh,
that like, and he's like, no, that's the way it's
great,
always been.
great.
That's the blah, blah, blah. He's like, Freud made up all this stuff about looking within. It's totally useless. There's nothing of use in there. And I was just like, that makes so much sense. And like, if I got to interview that guy, I'd be like, so you haven't looked at it all? Like, what do you think might happen? Like, what are you afraid of? I mean, I see that as
Mm.
fear of not, and just like, although, that guy might be evil from a therapeutic perspective, I can look at it just kind of like, okay, that person has no capacity. And therefore they're just really in the doing without feeling the resonance of the doing, and then they can cut off their literally cutting off their sense of humanity because they can't sense their own. And so I think my work specifically works with those of us that are overly empathetic. We feel every like I always say, I used to say like my work is for people who like, go out of their way to like make sure the spider gets outside safely to like a beautiful thing. And I'm like still like the super hypersensitive people. I think we really have something important to offer in these times. And
Mm.
like are the people that need to be stepping into like leadership, but also just like being able to say what feels true for us. Like neurodivergent people have such a discrepancy in like the world we're living in. They're like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I want those some of us that are overly empathetic, we're so laden with like feeling everything that we're not able to then find action to get in flow. And so I feel like my people are the opposite of that billionaire guy, and I'm like, "We need 5% of what that guy's on."
Great, great.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I saw you do a little bit of an air quotes around the "in these times," and we were chatting before this a little bit, and you expressed some just, like, resistance or something going
Yeah.
on, and, I said this to you then, and I'll say it now, like, you're someone who in our coaching work together, you really taught me to be curious about and explore the resistance, so I'd love to hear kind of what's going on to you for you coming into this convo.
Mhm. Um, yeah, and it's a joke because I also will end up, ending as a sentence so easily, like, "in these times." But I just feel that, yes, obviously, this is an incredibly historically significant time in terms of unknown of what's next. And that question sends me into or that, like, "What do we do in these times?" sends me into freeze. And
Yeah.
I have a
Mm,
big capacity, and I'm highly functional, I do a lot of, like, work, and I think I'm proud of the impacts I've made so far,
mhm.
and that question still sends me into freeze.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine for other people who are struggling with freeze more, like, in other stuff creatively,
Mm.
like, how that question must send them into freeze.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Um, and so I guess that's a good segue to ask, like, what are you orienting toward right now? And like, what of that are you trying to impart onto your clients?
So I use this phrase in my holistic ADHD approach, right? Which again, it's not really for ADHD, it's for functional freeze. But I feel like that's how many of us make that joke. Oh my God, it's my ADHD. So I'm like, let's use that word to kind of get to what I'm talking about. I use this phrase, we slow down to speed up. And I'm trying to, you know, hold that like I'm actually quite young. I'm 33. I can have big visionary things. I do a lot of research, but like I have to leave a lot of room for I don't know.
Mm,
Like my first answer to what do we do in these times to be in the work is I don't know.
mm,
But like to embody that I don't know,
yeah.
I don't know. But I was like if I try to like look at the world, stay informed, which is what looking at a screen, right? So I can't really trust
Mm,
that. So that already starts to make me dissociate. But then so where can I come back to? Where can I meet my capacity to be in flow again? I can go with what's feeling right here, right now. I can feel
mm,
what feels right when I'm talking with someone else. I'm orienting towards still big picture and still not going into urgency, right? I love Bio Okomalafe says, like, the times are urgent, so we must slow down.
yeah.
Think about that all the time, especially just like younger people, I'm orienting towards what kind of elders do we wanna be?
Mm,
What is our like, if we can slow down for ourselves and make sure no part of us gets left behind because we think we don't have time, because we think there's not enough love for that, like, so we don't rush forward into
mm,
another like, where we need to wake up out of this spell of survival mode, and I know it's ironic because it feels like, "Oh, there's more survival mode than ever, now we need it." But
right,
it's like, well, that's what we've been doing, and that's how we got here.
right.
We can't get out of survival mode from survival mode.
Yeah.
So, really and I think life keeps, like in the twists and turns of life, I'm like, "Ooh, I'm being asked to, like, even deeper and deeper integrate, like, my ancestral story." Like, particularly my matriarchal line, I think about from, like, my great-grandmother who came as, like, an arranged marriage at 15 from Syria,
Mm,
and, like, what was she orienting towards? And then my grandma, and then my mom, and,
uh,
like, how am I a part of that, carrying the
right,
baton? And when I think of that, ooh, I can just like that orientation slows me down a lot. One, to feel that I'm a part of something and it's not all on me. And two, how can we make if I can expand my capacity, then the next generation, my sister who's gonna have a baby next week, any day
Ooh.
now, like, how can I be aware of my capacity, my nervous system for that person?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that also reminds me of just, like, all those pieces around, being a good ancestor and also pulling on the wisdom and seeds of your ancestor and your lineage, ancestors and lineage. It also just reminds me of the point that like we are of the ecosystems we want to heal and tend to. So around the question, how do we show up for the work and ourselves when things are really urgent? It's like, well, actually, unless we show up for ourselves and understand ourselves and our ecosystem holistically, it's a
Mhm.
living being. We are a living part of that being.
Mm.
There's only so far that that healing or those efforts can go.
Right, that again and that takes us out of the head, out of the, like, colonized, like, "I have to fix it," because I think so unintentionally, we replicate power dynamics of religion in our
Mm,
movements, of, like, policing each other. We replicate that, like, colonialism of, like, saving, and so, like, I still feel like I'm a warrior for liberation, but I wanna be a lot more, like, wiggly with it, and I don't wanna do it from an idea that I'm a good person.
mm,
'Cause so much of, like, right or wrong is what sends us into freeze.
right. But maybe you could do it from the idea that you are a person.
Exactly, exactly,
Mm,
and being in the question of that, while just being like, "Okay, like, how can I get back into, like, feeling inspired and connected?"
yeah. Beautiful. Well, I'd love, Madison, if you would be willing to offer a practice that either you practice on your own or something that you offer to your clients. What's something that folks can take with them and experiment with if they so choose?
Yeah. So when we talked before, I thought I was gonna do my tendril practice, but
Mm,
actually there's this other one that's just so profound, and it's, like, everybody's favorite in my, like, holistic ADHD unraveling, which is again, it's not really just about flow and productivity. It's so much about, like, decolonizing our relationship to time and to productivity and to relating to ourselves in an improvement way instead of an
mm.
attuned way. So it kind of ties into that right or wrong thing, and it's a bit of a meditation, but it's also somatic. And I call it collapse into compassion. So the prompt is you write down everything you do not want to do or be. And you say, I don't want to be lazy. I don't want to be irresponsible. I don't want to disappoint others. I don't want to be uninformed. I
Sounds
don't
like
wanna
a lot
waste
of
my
fear stuff.
potential so much, like, just like the kind of like the push, the push, the push.
Hmm.
And, like, there's good stuff in all of there, but it becomes a way we're, like, just, like, sending ourselves to the edge of our capacity and into freeze again and again, like, the unconscious, like, "I can't if I let this happen, it's a failure." And so then you kind of write all that down, and then just as an experimental, playful, like, practice, you just take 5 to 10 minutes to let yourself be and do all those things.
Ooh. Can you give me an example? Like what's a way that you would be one of those things?
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of an idea because it's a way to kind of take our mind, um, righteousness and just put it over here just for a bit, enough just to feel our animal self again,
Mm,
right? We can then because then we can look at those and then create choice again,
mm.
right? Because some of those things are still we're still putting our "I was never enough and I have to make up for it" energy.
Ah,
Let's
right.
get that out,
And
right?
I have to be something other than what I am.
Exactly. We don't feel that we're enough. Like, that's just so chronic and underlying, and every time we're struggling to feel like we're not enough, it's because there's some part of us we're unwilling to or haven't had the chance to meet yet as we
Mm,
are. There's something in us we're like, "Well, that's not okay."
yeah.
And so we think, "Okay, I'll just keep getting past that to make up for it." But it's
Right,
like,
right,
"Okay,
right.
stop,
Mm.
and then go back and just be that loser, failure, lazy,
Right,
disappointing waste of
right.
space for just 5 to 10 minutes."
Yeah, and like so many things, that like anticipation or fear of what we might be or what might happen is so
Yes.
much worse than the reality of like what it actually feels like to be lazy or a quote unquote
Exactly,
failure or whatever.
exactly. Right, exactly. Like, obviously, there are rights and wrongs and thing like, ways that good and bad helps us function as a healthy society. But what I'm talking about is most of us are laden with benign right or wrongs that are just in our own head
Mhm.
and no one else sees it. And it's
Mhm.
isolating us from the present. It's like isolating us from the present moment, therefore each other. What I see when people do this practice is like suddenly everyone's laying on the ground. Everyone goes, I need to
Mhm.
lay down.
Mm.
People are breathing so much deeper than they have since they can remember. We're getting shivers. We're getting like, whoa, like, because
Mm.
we hadn't been that permission just to be and not do.
Yeah.
So, and so many people say, this feels like the first time I've ever rested, ever.
Mm.
And so we just stay with that until all of a sudden, all right, we're like, okay, what do I want to do? And then we get to move from agency instead of not enoughness.
Yeah, and a little
And
goes a long way too. I would say that if someone can't find it in themselves to write that list, even just to lie on the ground and not fight yourself on it is like a micro dosing version of that.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit more of a heavy hitter in my it's in my ADHD curriculum, but I
Mhm.
just because I was like recording it for people the other night and then did it again myself. And I'm like, this shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. But is there anything that you really wanted to share that you didn't get to say so far?
There's so many things to say on this. But
Sure.
like just like the baby steps thing. I think the way we get out of freeze is doing that like enoughness, like where am I unwilling to meet ourselves? Or how are we unwilling to meet ourselves? What do we think is not okay about how what we're coming with to the world, to showing up, going into that kind of collapse, and then finding some embodiment and compassion there. And then from there, your next baby step, let it feel like it's not enough. Like, you know what I mean? Getting coffee with a friend or like you're like, okay, I have this whole vision of like what my work is, what my activism
Right.
is, whatever. Like that one next thing. Okay, like just really being in the energy of enoughness starts to like this is the way. I'm not saying everyone just chill out. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying everyone, I see work at hand that's necessary and I take it very seriously. So let's stop all the insanity of the past. Like
Mm.
we are the first ones. We're so like privileged to be the first generation where we're talking about how to feel things.
Right. Right.
So, like, this is great, like, there is revolution in this. Go easy and don't have it all come back on yourself and get you clogged. Like, it is good for you to be in motion. It is good for you to stay light and inspired, and it's actually essential for us to keep showing up and, like, showing up messy.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Madison. And I also would love to hear you've mentioned a few times to your holistic ADHD offerings. Can you share a little bit more about any offerings that people can get from you if they want
Mhm.
you out?
Yeah. Yeah, my books are still open for one-on-one work through, this year. I love to just, like, meet people and hang out and learn what their projects are and how we can support them to get out of freeze in this way. And then my holistic ADHD course is called Radical Attention, and I have a wait list open for it, and it's a 6-month, like, deep dive program where
Mm.
you'll get all these practices, and you'll meet with me every week, and really just it really is like a life-changing experience
Yeah.
to go through, like, whoa, like, how do you it is gonna support your ability to do the things you wanna do, but from a framework that's, like, a little bit psychedelic, to be honest.
Mm,
So,
okay.
my wait list is open for that also.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Madison, for chatting with me and for
Thanks,
all the
Freddie.
beautiful work you do in the world.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Ciao.
Bye.